shout out to a couple of people tonight, and one of them is my moderator, Midlife Psychic. You can see her in the chat. And she is actually one of the inspirations behind doing a yin yoga class specifically for introverts. I do not consider Cindy an introvert. I don't know if she does, but I don't. I think she's more of an extrovert, but she does not like to do yoga where other people can see her. And she says, this is great because I can just do it in the privacy. No one can see me. So that's wonderful. And then I was mentioning that to another group of students who I teach. And then we thought about this idea. Yeah, it's really good for introverts. And then one of my students, Jen, said, yes, for Yin-Troverts. And so that's how we came up with the idea of Holiday Yin for Yin-Troverts, or those who love them. And Jen is also the one who came up with the title for my channel, which is Yin-Tuition, like intuition. So again, I just wanted to welcome you and give a little background. I think that, I don't know if you saw the promotional video, but I think that this is a great way to do yoga in privacy, in some anonymity, and yet still feel that you're part of the community, which is really helpful for people who are introverted or who have even social anxiety and are not comfortable, either doing it in person at a studio or even on Zoom where you can turn off your camera. But this provides even a little bit more anonymity with still a lot of love and warmth. So, okay, I'm reading some funny comments in there. So what I wanted to do first was just welcome you and give you a little lowdown about props. Traditionally, yin is actually done without a lot of props, but I think over the years, people found that sometimes it's not always beneficial to the body to not have some support if you need it. And really in yin, it's so much more about the intention with which you come to a pose, which is really about the mind. So we come to yin poses with the intention of not doing much, not engaging the muscles, not taking energy up and out the way we might in a hatha class. So yin poses are really soft and gentle. And the idea is that you let go. You let go of holding on to muscles, which is why I do think props are very helpful. So if you have yoga props, bonus, you can get those. I mean, particularly a block or two and straps. If you have a bolster, that really is the yin and restorative prop du jour. But if you don't worry. We can always adjust for what you have. And if you have just some pillows or blankets, that'll work. And in place of a bolster, often what works well is a sofa cushion because it's a little bit denser than bed pillows. But if you have bed pillows, you could always stack them so you have a little bit more of density. This is mostly for lying back over. And we're not doing a lot of complicated poses tonight. Yin poses in general are not complicated. So to start, I wanted to do just a little practice. Now, this is specifically for all my introverts and empaths and people who are just sensitive. And anyone who feels like, wow, was the last month insane? I feel like I was just like this. And all I ingested into my body, I think, was alcohol and sugar. It was not a real healthy month. And I'm just feeling a little, wow. So this class is really to provide a space to help you slow down and really come into the rhythm of winter, according to Chinese medicine and Taoism, which I will talk about. But what I first want to do is a little exercise to get you to understand the difference between when we're in our head. I've just tilted the camera, so it's kind of a funny angle. So let me put this back up so you can see it better. But when we're kind of leaning forward into life, which usually means we're up in our head and we're often a little stressed because there's so much to do and we got to keep moving and we got to keep doing and running and achieving. That we're going to step away from, in this class, but particularly this winter. So instead of leaning forward and being all up here trying to either control or have an impact, we are going to practice. My teacher calls it going in, back, and wide. I add one more thing, which is down, because yin energy moves down. So we're going to practice going inward, down, down into the body, particularly the lower body, resting back and getting wide, which means both mentally and physically our energy expands. And that's part of the experience of winter and water energy, is becoming one with instead of the separate somebody. So a fun little exercise is where I'm going to bring the camera down because I'm going to look at the ground. One fun exercise to do is to actually stare at a spot. So if you have a little spot on the ground that you can notice, I want you to just look at that spot. And I want you to look at it so intensely, like really get into it. Don't let that spot move. So look at it as if you were to just move away even slightly, it's going to run away. And take a deep breath and now focus. Focus on that spot with all your energy, all your intention. Okay, and then let that go. All right, so you might notice when you do that, there is a certain amount of gripping. There's an intensity to it. When we come more into presence, more into the yin energy, which we are in the yiniest time of the year, which is winter, it's less about this direction and forward movement. Again, it's more about back and soft perception. So I want you to find that spot again on the floor, but instead of staring directly at it, I want you to look slightly to the right or left of it. And I want you to just be aware of the spot with your peripheral vision. So instead of looking right at it like we did before, you're just aware of it. It's just in this overall space. There's a softness, but instead of controlling the spot, you're more in relationship with it. So take a deep breath, soften the body. And can you even allow the spot to come towards you? Not by doing anything, not by tickling it or calling it hither, but just by your relaxed, open, allowing energy. It's a very different experience, a very different way of being in the world. So the second part of the exercise, is really embodying more of this yin approach to life, which is very different than what we have typically learned how to be, particularly in the West. So let's go ahead now, and we're just going to come down onto our backs. So in yoga, we traditionally call this Shavasana. We're just going to lie down flat. If you need to put anything under your knees for support, that can be helpful if you have any low back issues. Now I'm just going to give you a second to do that. And before we fully get in, we're going to do just some classic tension and release. So this is an exercise I'm sure most of you have done at some point in your life. And it's simple. All you do on the inhale is you're going to squeeze all your muscles really tight, and really all your muscles. So not just your fists, but your feet, your face. Get everything tight. We'll do that on the inhale. We'll hold the breath. And then when we exhale, we're going to let go with a big sigh. And I want you to think about anything over this past month that was like, made you go, I need a break. I need some space, anything that was too much, too many demands, too many responsibilities, too much speed, too much noise. We're going to let that all go. Okay, so we'll do this together. So and we'll hold the breath briefly while we're holding the tension. Okay, so let out your current breath completely. And then when you're ready, take a deep breath in, hold the breath, and squeeze all your muscles. Squeeze them tight, squeeze your face into a prune. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Get it all out, all that icky juju. And then let it go. Ah, ah. Oh, I needed that for sure. And we're going to do it 2 more times. All right. And just kind of let yourself recalibrate. Okay. We're going to do it again. So deep breath in. Hold the breath. Squeeze the muscles. Squeeze your hands. Squeeze the feet. Squeeze the face. Oh, squeeze out all the icky too muchness. And then go, ah. All right. So last time, and this is the time to squeeze out all the stuff, all the frustrations, the traffic, the things that didn't come on time, all of that. Ready? Big inhale. Squeeze, 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 and let go. Now I don't get to hear your wonderful sighs, so I just have to pretend that I hear that wonderful release. So now you've arrived. You've arrived at the Yin sanctuary where there's nothing more to do. You don't have to be anything. You don't have to prove anything. You just are allowed to be. So let's start by noticing how the body feels. And sometimes after we do that tension and release, it can take the body a little time to unwind. So just notice, are my hands still a little bent? Is there still a little, That's very common. We hold tension chronically. And a lot of times we don't realize how contracted we are until we experience pain or till we have an opportunity to rest. And we're like, wow, I'm really tired. I had no idea. So just notice how the body feels. Notice how you're arriving here on the mat right now. You don't need to change anything. Just notice what's present. And with each breath, we're going to let the inhale be like an invitation to go in and down. Each exhale, an invitation to let go. So each exhale, just allowing the body to soften, just like you're melting. So I don't know about you, it's pretty cold here in Portland, Oregon. So imagine a warm sun and you've been kind of frozen into, I don't know, an ice sculpture or a hard encased wax figure. And now the warmth of the sun is allowing all the muscles and joints to release. And just feel that letting go. Notice where you're holding the tension. So there's usually the obvious places, the shoulders, the neck, sometimes the hips, sometimes the belly if you've been stressed. So let those go first, just by bringing your awareness right to those areas and just gently suggesting to the body to soften, release a little. Just try to connect with that feeling and that image of melting. Each breath just a little more spacious. So once that first layer starts to release a little bit, sometimes you will notice tension in places you typically aren't aware of. For me, it's the face because I am a big thinker. I'm up in my head a lot. So try to relax the forehead, relax the muscles around the eyes, the cheekbones. Let the jaw just become slack. And then just say to yourself, where else can I soften? What else can I let go of? When the body starts to let go, then we can get the mind to release as well. And that's the hardest one. So, using the image of water, since we are in water season, according to Chinese medicine, sometimes it can be helpful to imagine the mind like a lake. And the thoughts are stuff just floating on the top, but your awareness stays below. So, again, with each exhale, can you allow the mind to become softer, not as grippy, not as attached to the thoughts? The thoughts will arise, but just see if you can refrain from following them or holding on to them. Just let them float by. Good. Okay. Now, in this place of stillness and depth, just take this in. Nothing is required of me in this moment. I am allowed to just be. There is wisdom in stillness. Great. Okay. From here, let's go ahead and just bring the knees into the chest now and just rock a little bit side to side. And then with the knees and ankles together, we're just going to circle the knees. And then reverse direction. And then you can open your knees wide apart and we'll circle them in towards each other and back out, just like you're swimming the breaststroke. I always have to say that because I used to call this the crawl until I was corrected by an actual swimmer. And then reverse direction. So we're just lubricating the joints, which is very important in winter when sometimes we get a little more brittle as the air is cool and dry. And the next time the knees are wide apart, let's pause. And we're going to bend the knees and bring the soles of the feet to point to the ceiling. So a lot of people know this in yoga as happy baby pose. In Yin, we actually call it stirrup, like you're sitting on a horse. And what you can do is hold on to your feet or big toes, But if that's too straining on your shoulders, just bring your arms behind the knees. Let the knees drop. You can also, if you have a strap, you can bring the strap on top of the feet and use that to hold the legs in place. Now, the key here, because it is yin, is we're not taking our hands on those feet and shoving them down with force. We are allowing everything to just drop with the weight of gravity and with surrender. So it's much more, in many ways, it's much more of a mental practice, an energetic practice than it is physical, but it's the physicality of surrender. So think about relaxing the thighs, relaxing the glutes, relaxing your shoulders. And again, just allowing yourself to just be here. Remembering stillness restores me. The quiet restores me. So at this time of year, nature, as you've noticed, is really pared back. It pairs back to just its essential skeleton. I mean, if you look at the trees, the leaves are gone. The leaves are not only gone from the trees, but a lot of them have started to, I can't think of the word, decompose in the ground. They're returning into the soil. It's all part of that beautiful cycle. So a lot of nature's energy has gone underground. And that's actually a magical place in the darkness. It's referred to, winter in Chinese medicine and Taoism is referred to as the season of the water element, because water moves down, it goes to the lowest place, it flows wherever it's needed. It's the most yin-y, it's the most, in some ways, surrendering, although it's very powerful too. But water also holds everything. And a lot of this natural tendency, if you follow the rhythms of nature, then nature is suggesting that we too spend a little less focus on the doing and the efforting and the external world, and we come back into ourselves. So just take a moment here. We're not going to be in this shape much longer. But as you are relinquishing effort, just allowing those knees to drop, not from force, but just through surrender. Just take this in again. It is safe to slow down, and I am safe to slow down. See if you can feel that in your body, because that's not a message we get very often in this world. In fact, a lot of our constant doing and efforting comes from fear. Like if I stop, I don't know, the world's gonna fall apart, or if I don't do it all, no one else will. That's a common thought. And ultimately, there is a lot of we kind of effort and create, and creation's wonderful, but constantly doing, often because of that big fear of I want to exist. So if I stop, does that mean I no longer exist? Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite from the Yin perspective. So we follow the dictates of nature to bring our energy inwards in water, in winter. Okay. back to our shape. So from here, what we're going to do now is bring the soles of the feet together and just rub them. A lot of energetic points on the feet, so that's always good. And then what I like to do is just draw my feet down a little bit towards my belly, and that helps to create a little more spaciousness in the low back. So water in the body is associated with the organs of the kidneys and the bladder. It's very on the nose with water in terms of liquid. Some of the other elements is not as obvious. And so interestingly though, the low back is also the whole back area, but the low back itself is sometimes, if you have low back pain, sometimes that's an issue of a water weakness or deficiency. So here we're just bringing the feet in to create a little bit more space there around the sacroiliac joints. And you can stay right here if that feels good to have the flat back. If you want more of a rounded spine, see if you can lift your head and shoulders up off the ground, tuck the chin into the chest, and then maybe you can lift your feet up towards the head, just for a few breaths. Okay, and then we'll release and we're slowly going to come up to seated. So whatever way that works for you. And we're going to stay in this shape, in this, what we call in Yin, butterfly shape. And I want to demonstrate something to you because it's important. There's a slight difference when we do this shape in Yin versus Hatha. So in Hatha, there is a pose called Baddha Konasana, or cobbler's pose. And it's done with the heels close into the groin. And usually you're engaging energy, so you've got a straight spine. In Yin, we get yinny. We do less. In fact, we create more of a diamond shape. So the feet come further out from the groin, a little bit more of a diamond. And we're going to fold forward to the extent that you can. And I can give you some options. So in Yin, we always say, do less, stay longer. So it's better, you don't need to push the body beyond what it feels comfortable doing. And that's why I do like props, because it can help you stay in a pose longer. If you really push and strain, you're actually kind of gumming up the chi. We want the chi to flow. So if you do have a bolster or a pillow, what I like to do is bring it in between my legs, and you might support that if you have a block to bring it up a little bit higher like this. If your back doesn't allow for a real deep forward bend, you might take the bolster or pillow on its long side and just rest your chin. Your forward bend could simply be dropping the head. And that's perfect. It's more the intention of releasing into that downward energetic flow. That being said, if you like to full splat, you can do that. Okay. And if coming forward even a little bit just puts pressure on the low back, you could always roll a blanket, or I'm just going to use this bolster. Just get the sit bones up a little bit higher, and that will help you come forward slightly. Okay. So why should we follow nature? Because we're a lot healthier. If you've noticed, nature works pretty well. Despite everything we've tried to do to her over the years, she still continues to produce flowers and to go through these wonderful, amazing cycles. So there's a lot of wisdom in nature, which is really the basis of Taoism, looking to nature as a source of wisdom for our own health and well-being. And in water season, winter, this time of going inward it's severalfold why that is beneficial. One is purely just for restoration. Nature doesn't entirely take a break because it's not like it's inert. There's a lot of things happening under the ground, but it does pare back to what's essential. And it's not in a producing phase. So it's not creating flowers or fruit right now. It's germinating. So that is an important quality that we have kind of lost over the years. This time of having more quiet, doing less, resting more. It's really actually quite nice for the body and for the kidneys to get a little extra sleep in winter, particularly when it's cold. So we all have a deep need for restoration physically, but also mentally. And this is becoming much more of an issue in our 21st century reality. We spend so much time with all this stimulation coming at us nonstop. And we lose our connection to our creativity, to our intuition, to our sense of interrelatedness to all beings, to life, when there's too much busyness in the mind. So it's not just the busyness of being out and being in the car, that impacts as well, but it's all that information coming in nonstop. It's really important to pare that back as at any opportunity you can. And I'm speaking as one of the worst violators probably of this. But I do meditate and I can't not. So let's take a moment and just take in this idea of rest and restoration and how we need that for the creative in all of us to flourish. So let these words just flow over you. Like winter water, it is wise to conserve my energy. I trust my natural rhythm and the rhythm of life. Because when we don't, when we don't kind of follow that flow and that rhythm, then life often, the body usually puts a stop, usually by us getting sick or getting injured or getting creatively blocked. I can choose depth over stimulation. Take just a few more breaths here. Okay, now we're going to start to come out of it, and I want you to feel your sit bones and start to push downward into the floor with your hips and sit bones as you straighten up the spine. Then if you have a prop in front of you, you can just move that over to the side. Bring the knees back together. And then from here, let's have the knees bent with the feet forward of the knees. We're going to bring our hands back behind us, and we're just going to windshield wiper. So we're just going to let the knees drop over to one side. And then inhale back to center, exhale, drop into the other. And just do a few on your own, maybe closing your eyes. Just feeling that rhythmic motion. Okay, so we are tonight targeting specifically the water meridians. So meridians are energy channels that are described in Chinese medicine. And we are working tonight with the kidney meridian, which primarily runs on the inside of the legs, and the urinary bladder meridian, which is on the backs of the legs. They also go up the back of the body. So a wonderful thing to do, both for the low back and for your kidney meridian, is a squat. And the way we do it in yin might not be accessible for everybody. We do a wide knee squat. So the knees are tracking over your toes. I bring my elbows to the inside of the knees. And basically, we're just letting the hips drop. So I just brace my elbows against the knees so the hips can just hang. Now, if that doesn't work for your knees or for any part of your body, you can also do this on a block. And you put the block on any level. And there's two ways I do it on a block. You can either have the heels right underneath the knees, which you feel a little bit more in the groin, most people, or what I like to do for water season, come down a notch, is come to the outer edges of the feet. So I just rest the outer edges of the feet so my inner thigh is a little more open, and then you can rest your arms on the thighs or on the inside of the knees. And once you come to your position, just take a deep breath. Just let go. So, another reason for going in, for pulling away from the stimulation of the world, is to access a deeper wisdom. So, all of the elements in Chinese medicine are associated with certain qualities, one that's generally considered more positive and one that's considered, I guess, more negative. And with water, the two are wisdom and fear, which is interesting. You don't see that particularly as a continuum, but it does make sense in my mind after exploring this for many years. But the wisdom, wisdom itself is not what we learn from books. But even deeper, the wisdom we're talking about with water is a very deep inner listening. In fact, deep listening is a quality associated with water. And it's the kind of listening that goes beyond the ears. It's really listening with the full body and with the heart. And you can only do that when you have quiet and stillness. So in the yogic tradition, there is a practice called pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses. So a lot of traditions, particularly the mystical traditions, give some credence to the idea of limiting stimulation to really hear your inner voice and the voice of the heart. So it's coming out of the head and into the heart. So even though a lot of introverts might like to hang out at home and be in the cave, they don't necessarily all, are living here outside of the head. A lot of introverts are very up in their head. It's just kind of, we all are. So even for introverts, there is a lesson to letting the energy in the mind just drop down to the heart. And see if you can do that. We won't be here too much longer. I know this is a more challenging pose if you're doing the freestanding version. But just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just sense the energy from the mind, from all the thinking, just dropping downward. You're just kind of melting down towards the center of the chest. Sort of like the heart being a magnet, and you're just pulling all the shavings down towards your chest. And then something that can cultivate that even more is to really feel some heart-focused energy. And Typically, that comes from any of the qualities that we associate with the heart. So, gratitude's a great one, love, joy, compassion. So, just for a moment, and then I promise we'll be out of this shape. Maybe just thinking about someone, and it could be a pet, doesn't have to be a person, they don't have to be alive, but someone who you just deeply, deeply adore. And just visualize them smiling and just feel that sense of gratitude in your heart for the fact that you've gotten to know that you know this person, that they have been a part of your experience in this incarnation of life. How lucky that is. How lucky the love you share is. And that it's a love that goes beyond time and space. Okay. All right. So from the squat, we're coming out now. So if you are freestanding, you can just bring your hands down to the floor of the mat and just come into child's pose. If you're on a block, same thing. You can just pick up the block, just remove it, and then we'll all come down like this. And if it's difficult to get the head on the ground, you can always use a block for your head. Just allow the shoulders to drop. Let all the energy move downward. Just resting, just allowing. And my energy moves from the head to the heart. I am in touch with my deeper self. Some say higher self or wider self. Part of me that's connected to the field, that's connected to all and everything. Okay. From child's pose, let's come up to tabletop. So just a hands and knees position like here. And we're going to do just some flowing cow cat. So you can watch me if you haven't done this before. So I always do the first one slow. So we're going to do cow. And I like to take my elbows out, scoop the chest forward, then straighten the arms, look up. You can't really see because of my sweater, but my belly is dropped, tailbone is lifted. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, you round the spine, bring the chin into the chest, really push down into your hands and lift up through the ribs. Okay, now we're going to flow. So we're going to add in child's pose. So we're going to inhale, cow, exhale, cat, and then flow all the way down, hips to heels. Just momentarily bring the head to the ground and then coming right back up. Inhaling cow, exhaling cat, and shifting hips to heels. A couple more. Inhaling up, cow, exhaling cat, hips to heels. And we'll do one last one like that. Inhaling up, cow, exhale, cat, hips to heels, and stay down. And when you're down on the ground, I want you to really stretch your hands forward as far as you can, heads on the ground. In fact, you can even come up onto your fingertips. So only the tips of the fingers are on the ground and your head. Just really push down and forward with your fingertips. Then you'll feel that engagement in the shoulders. Take an inhale. And then exhale, let it go. Let the palms flatten, shoulders relax. Now we're going to flow a little differently. This might be a little bit more challenging, so if it doesn't work for your body, you can just do the cow cat. But if you're up for it, we'll inhale up to tabletop. But this time with the hands a little bit forward of the shoulders. See where my hands are forward? Okay. So we'll come up. We're going to inhale here. On the exhale, we're going to lower our thighs down and bring the chest between the arms. So we're in a cobra shape. And then we'll inhale the hips up. Exhale, hips to heels. And we'll do that a couple times. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, lowering the thighs, bringing the arms through the chest. Inhale, hips lift. Exhale, hips to heels. Last time, coming forward, tabletop. Release the thighs. Now we're going to come all the way down. We're going to come onto our forearms like this in Sphinx pose. And I want to bring the camera down so you can really see this well. So in Sphinx, you want your elbows right underneath your shoulders. If they're forward of your shoulders, you're getting, well, actually, if they're behind your shoulders, that's getting a little bit more cobra-like. So they need to be right under the shoulders, or they can be slightly forward. What I like to do, if you do have a yoga block, is place the head right on the yoga block, so your eyebrow ridge, and that just kind of massages the third eye. It's very relaxing to the nervous system. So once you're in that shape, even if you don't have a block, you might choose to bring your elbows together and just rest the head in the palms. And what I'm doing, which gives you a little acupressure point as well, is place the base of my hand right underneath the elbows and push up slightly. Okay. So the final reason we can benefit from going in, getting away from the external world and the stimulation, is to basically return home, return to our essence. So when we get out of the head, get out of the stimulation, and really drop into a deep state of presence, that's when we really have that deeper connection, that sense of being one with. And water really is about that. It's about letting go, at least for a while, of the roles and the responsibilities and all the ways we define ourselves, and this idea we have that we're this separate somebody, and we return home. We return home to be held. And that's when that deep sense of peace reveals itself. You know, we can't do peace. We can't make peace. Peace arises when we get out of all that stuff. So, again, returning to the water analogy, you can think of yourself as like an individual wave in the ocean. We're all unique. Some of us are huge. Some of us are tiny. Some of us splash a lot. Some of us are very symmetrical, you know, all kinds of different ways. We're all unique waves, but we are all the ocean. So just take a moment to let that sink in. I am the ocean. So you are that wave, but you are also the entire ocean. Yeah, let the mind get a chew on that for a moment. I am all the ocean. And sometimes it's okay. Just allow that individual wave to rest and just be the ocean. Take just a few more breaths here. from here. We're just going to remove the block if you're using it, and we'll come all the way down. So you can just make a pillow with your forearms like this and rest the head flat. Just rest your forehead on the forearms. And then what I like to do is shift the hips a little bit to loosen up the low back. And then bend the knees and just do some backwards windshield wipers. And then from here, bring the hands to the shoulders. We're going to gently push up to tabletop. And just notice if the body needs anything. Do you need to do a cat-cow or just swing the hips? Sometimes I like to do cat-cow hula hoop like this. And just circling my rib cage like you're doing the hula hoop. And be sure to go in both directions. And then we're going to sit down. I just want to, before we come into our last pose, I just want to show you a few acupressure points that you can use if you are, I don't know, I was talking about this in my class, last night, that I asked if anyone was going to New Year's Eve parties, and everyone, I mean, it was a group of yoga people, I don't know, they were like, no, I kind of think that's over, but I was never into it. But if you are, if you are going to a big party or any time when you just feel, overstimulated, acupressure is a wonderful tool for so many things. And the more you practice with a particular point, it works just like acupuncture, but you use your hands to stimulate those points as opposed to needles. So it's a little more superficial. It's more energetic in a way. I don't know. Acupuncturists might argue that, but you're dealing a lot with intention in the mind as well. I find that the more I work with a particular spot, the more I do it, the more sensitive it becomes. So although you can use these for, in the moment, like a lot of people use this point for headaches and seasickness, you can use it on the spot. It's helpful. But if you do these, practice them continuously, you will find that they just have more energy for you. So a couple of water points that are really good. One is, and I got to pull this down so you can really see my feet, is bubbling spring, and it's kidney 1. So luckily my feet are relatively clean. So kidney 1, if you look at the ball of the foot, and often there is a little fold. Most people have a little fold here, kind of, it's often right underneath the second toe. If you just kind of follow that fold down, the bubbling spring is kind of just right below, in the center of the foot, right below the ball of the foot. And this is a wonderful point. It's on both feet, so you can hold them bilaterally. And let me see, because I had some notes about bubbling spring. It's kidney 1, and it's a really grounding point. It draws excess energy from up here, particularly up in the higher regions in the mind, and brings it down. So this is great when you're way up in your head and you're stressed out. And what I do often, a lot of people will massage it. I tend to just hold, and you can play around with holding the points in different ways. Sometimes I will really press. Sometimes I find actually more energy just by having a light touch. And I often will say an affirmation or I'll just meditate while I hold it. So for this, we might just say, I allow the stress and tension to melt away. I bring my energy down into a grounded, solid, secure place. So that's kidney 1. And then 1 for the urinary bladder, since that's the other water meridian, is called drilling bamboo. They're all really unique names. And it's right here. It's literally right underneath the eyebrows in that little divot. And my teacher used to show us this little technique to work with drilling bamboo, where it's harder if you have long nails, but you kind of grab the bridge of his nose and just kind of flip his fingers up. You can also just bring your thumbs right in like that and hold it. This is really soothing. So let me see what it says about drilling bamboo. Um, really helps with headaches, but it's also about just releasing mental stress. And then there's another great one, which is they often refer to as a third eye point. And the easiest way to find it is just to take your middle finger on the bridge of the nose, and then just your index finger will naturally rest on the third eye point. And if you are just having a moment of like, ooh, just holding that and taking some deep breaths can really help bring you back in. Of course, nothing is, from a yogi's perspective, nothing is better than the breath. So if you are having a moment where you're just too overwhelmed, rubbing your hands, bring your hand to ideally to your skin, because that can release oxytocin, and then taking some deep breaths, just and saying an affirmation. I am big into affirmations. There's always got kind of a people kind of laughed at them, I guess, like in the 90s. But it does help. It just helps you focus. I am calm. I am centered. I am present. So those are some little tools for you. So we're going to finish up with a little meditation in our last yummy pose, and then we'll do a 3-card pull. So you can get a little divination. We'll do 1 card for what we need to leave behind from 2025 and what we can move into in 2026. So before that card pull, what we're going to do is come into reclined butterfly. So if you remember, butterfly, soles of the feet together, not too close in, but a little further away. Now you can do this without any props. You can just lie back on the floor. This is the traditional way it's done. But I often like to do it over a bolster. So I bring the bolster right behind me. You can also stack some pillows or blankets. You're going to lie back over that. But I like to, if it's the last pose I often like to support the knees. It's just a little bit more restful. Some people like to have that drop. It's totally up to you. But you can rest back. Yeah. Whew. If you need to get a blanket or an eye pillow, do whatever you need to be comfortable. Then I'm going to give you just a moment to set up. So as you're starting to settle in, first of all, just, give yourself and your heart a little gratitude for taking this time. It doesn't take much. This is an hour. You don't even have to spend an hour, but just a little time a day away from the world can change your life. I'm not kidding. I always say I'm a very young person who became a yin teacher. So just arrive here and just allow yourself to be held. So much about water is that idea of coming home. It is very feminine energy. It's like being held by the mother. So just allow yourself to feel supported and held by the floor, by the bolster, by any props that are supporting you. And beneath the floor itself is the support of the earth. Such an incredible, incredible planet to be on, really, to be a part of. And we are a part of nature. We are very much not just related to, but a part of. We are in it. So feel that. Allow yourself to be held by her wisdom, by her love of life. And beyond even the holding of the earth, there is a deeper holding presence. In Buddhism, they call it the ground of being. Some people call it the presence of love. It is subtle, but vast. And it's that intelligence of life. I kind of view it like fascia. It kind of holds everything together in this web. And when we really surrender and remember we are always a part of it, what arises is so much support, so much more support than we're aware of. When we realize that we actually aren't the doer, that there's actually this intelligence that moves through us, the more we can allow for that flow, the more magic arises in our lives. I really believe that. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to unlearn things. I'm going to do a video on that in the new year. But for now, just be held. No need to do. No place to go. You just get to be held and you get to rest. And just for a moment, reflect on this question. What changes when I allow myself to honor my sensitivity? What becomes possible when I acknowledge the value of just being? Let's go ahead and rub the hands. And we'll bring one hand to the center of the chest. The other hand can go on top of that hand or on your belly, whatever feels more comfortable. And again, just kind of drop any energy that's lingering in the mind, drop it down to the heart. And just lean into this idea of deep listening. And just don't struggle, don't try to figure anything out, but just notice what comes up when you hear what wants to be let go of. What wants to be let go of? Notice how the body receives that question. Where do you feel sensation? What wants to be let go of? And the second question, what wants to be known? What wants to be known? Again, feel with your body, listen with your heart, feel with your ears. This is a time less about the regular senses and more about those meta senses. Okay. Go ahead and relax the arms. Let's take a deep breath. Go ahead and stretch the legs out. We're going to give ourselves a little hug before we come off the bolsters or the floor. So take an inhale, just stretch your arms out wide. And on the exhale, just cross the upper arms and let them just dangle on your chest. Okay. And then we'll reverse the cross. So inhale again, stretch them out wide, and then recross. I like a good Good. And then take your arms down by your sides. You can gently turn the head from side to side. And then slowly, in your own time, there's no rush, you're going to make your way back to seated. And we're going to do a little divination since you're in that watery space. All right, so this is fun. And I'm just asking for guidance, and may the cards chosen be the ones that are just perfect for who's ever here now and for whoever is watching this in the future. I'm going to pull 3. What are we going to leave behind? What are we going to let at the 2025 door? Leave it on the 2025 door. So there's a lot of things that aren't in these cards I'd like to leave there, but we'll go with the more spiritual stuff. All right, there's 1. Ooh, that jumped. 2. I'm going to pick 3. Can't get it. There it is. There it is. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. So here are the cards. This is number 1. This is number 2. This is number 3. I want you to just take a deep breath and relax and just notice which one you are drawn to. So again, 1, 2, 3. Just make your decision. And you may choose more than one. That's fine. Okay. So the first one, good for all. Surrender to worry. I'm trying to get it so it doesn't glare in the screen. Surrender worry. Okay, so what we're leaving at the doorstep of 2025. Make a commitment not to lead an anxiety-driven life. When worries arise, breathe them out of your body. So good. Focus on the power of your heart and have faith that spirit is guiding you always. Surrender worry. So those of you who chose card 1, take a deep breath. And just feel everything drop from the head to the heart. Okay. Surrender worry, number 1. Number 2, kind of right along the same line. A little more extreme though. Surrender obsessive thinking. There she is with her apple. All right. If you're obsessing about a person or situation, turn the dilemma over to spirit. Doing so will bring you clarity or even solve the problem. So that obsessing and worrying too are both signs that the ego has taken over the show. And we want to get back in flow. So obsessive thoughts, again, easiest thing, taking a deep breath in. And really, I think coming back into the heart with these obsessive thoughts, you might need a little bit more oomph. So really think about those qualities that cultivate that open-heartedness, gratitude, joy, love. Just thinking about someone you love can shift that a little bit. Okay. And the last one, surrender your need to always be right. So this is for card number 3. Uh, give others the gift of letting them be right. Oh, challenging. Be yielding, not rigid. This will help resolve conflicts and improve your relationships. And I have a great teacher, Miranda McPherson, and she talks a lot about peace. And if we really want peace, both within our lives and in the world, sometimes we have to surrender our desire to be right. Do we desire peace more than our desire to be right? Because ultimately, again, that's more ego. Okay, so we're leaving those at the doorstep, and here we go with the fun ones. Okay, so where we're heading in 2026, this is what we're surrendering into, like melting into a field of flowers or jumping into water, the feel good stuff. What do we want? 2026, please show me 3 signs that are perfect for who's here now and for those who will see this in the future. Okay, there's 1, there's 2, there's a 3rd one, and there's 3. Oops, I got 4. So then I'm going to pick, I'm going to do them both. All right. So these are 4 because they both wanted to be known. Okay. So here, card 1. Here, card 2. Card 3, card 4. What do you choose? 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, number 1. Who chose number 1? Surrender to passion. All right. Get out of your head and feel the fire in your belly. Focus on the people or activities that ignite your passion and let it flow. And that honestly is a heart quality as well. So I think it was Howard Thurman said we don't need more people. I'm going to botch the quote. Okay, I'm not even going to say it. I'll post it in the replay. But it's about leading with what you love. That lights you up. That is life force. What lights you up? Okay, the second one for surrender to your soul's path. Number 2s. Your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson, every moment. That's a big surrender because that's allowing, not fighting what life presents. Not always the easiest, but ultimately the most rewarding. Okay, number 3s. So out of 3s kind of came in with, so we had a 3 and a 4. 3, surrender to your body's wisdom. Very yinny, always wise. The body is the present moment. Listen to your body's messages about a person or situation, just like we did in the meditation. If you feel physically drained or uncomfortable, be cautious. If you are energized and happy, move forward. 2026, listen to your body. And the last one, perfect for this channel, surrender to your intuition. Always good advice. Tune into your inner voice. Be aware of any gut feelings, flashes, knowings, or ahas moments that come through to guide you. And how do we do this? We get out of all this, we drop into presence, and we allow the messages. We don't grab them. They come. They are there. We just have to get out of the way. So true in life. Well, this was so much fun. I'm so glad you guys came. And if you're enjoying this later, I wish you so much peace and love over these last few days of the year. If you are sensitive, I feel you. You have the right to speak up for yourself and to protect your energy. And let's all try to spend a little bit more time in the heart, a little less time in the head, and a little less time with so much stimulation. I wish you so much love, and we'll do this again next month, hopefully. Take care. Namaste. Good night, everyone. Sweet dreams. Thanks, Cindy. Love you. Thank you, Stacy. Good night, people. Bye-bye.